Welcome back to the Tidarium Hangar. This is Mike, and I'm coming at you with the weekly news and review for September 20th, 2020. 2020. It's 20 of 2020, and we're going to get into some fun news here. There's a lot of stuff going on, moving parts, things that are changing about a lot of the main line. We're going to talk about all of these great things and try to keep up. Coming up. First off, I want to talk about a couple of things new I found at Show Z, and I'm actually really excited about the OIMEC, the H6002 Raging Dragon Hunger. This will finally finish the KO oversized version of Abominus, and really you just need this figure because it already came pre-packed with every single attachment. The hands, the feet. You basically need to turn this thing into Abominus. That's the whole reason I want it. I don't even care if any of the modes are any good. Also up for pre-order is this Transart BWM03 Metal Leopard Commander. It's a trans metal Cheetor, and I have to say, out of all the iterations of Cheetor, I like the trans metal one the best. I might have to pick this guy up. I'm not a huge Beast War fan myself, but there are certain characters in Beast Wars that I really like. I do like the Megatron as a dragon. I like Cheetor as a Transmetal. These are just really cool looking figures. I can't wait to see a painted version of this, but it looks pretty spot on to the animation. I think the hips are a little bit wide, though. I don't remember them being that wide, but there are some features. He does have the obligatory jets on the back so he can fly around and look pretty cool. And I actually think that this one looks best in its beast mode. The beast mode really does rock. And the bot mode's okay too. So this week there's not really much to talk about along the lines of Masterpiece. I do want to say, if you really want to get your fill of Masterpiece, watch my Friday video because it's all of the Masterpiece releases for the rest of the year. And I do go pretty deep on a few, but it's mostly narrow and quick and saying, hey, this is the month I think they're coming out. We never really know for sure when they're going to come out. They could be earlier or later than what I predict. But also, I did kind of leave out one important factor. That would be the Takara factor. I did not include RC. That was an omission on my behalf. But in my defense, I want to say this is not slated till the very last day of the year. So I have mine on order from Amazon Japan. They pushed it back to December 31st, meaning that if they ship it on December 31st, I will not get it anytime in 2020, 2020. So it sounds good, but I simply just forgot about her. Skipping over Masterpiece into some Legends. If you're not talking about Masterpiece, what else is there to talk about? Let's end the video now. No, just kidding. We're going to talk about New Age and how they're making a Minosaur in the Legends scale. And this mirrors the Masterpiece line. Why on earth are they going after the same characters over and over? They did it with Megatron. They're doing it with Soundwave. They're doing it with the Seekers. They're doing it with Minosaur. I'm not really happy about it. Not that I think it's going to be a bad Minosaur from New Age. Just why are they doing the same thing? Why can they not just branch out and give us different characters? First off, I don't want to buy both, and I will not buy both. And I probably won't buy either because they're so ridiculously overpriced. They're almost into actual Masterpiece pricing. But they look good. Let's do a little quick side-by-side comparison of these two. And Magic Square and New Age side by side, and it's the same story over and over. I kind of like Magic Square's engineering the most, but looking at these two pictures side by side, New Age has cleaned up the lower leg a bit more, like a slight bit more. But I think Magic Square wins in the forearms, and so there's going to be a back and forth. I think that New Age wins on the back, the way they handle the back piece better. So there's so many back and forth. I do actually like the waist piece on Magic Square more than New Age. At the end of the day, I'm not going to be in on either one of these because it's going to be $250 to get a not even a masterpiece, a Legends combiner. We've got a ton of Chug stuff to talk about, but I do really feel like a lot of MP collectors utilize the Titan class as their go-to for some of these big city bots. And, you know, we're probably not going to get all the city bots in a true masterpiece scale. Probably won't get any in a true masterpiece scale. Probably won't get them in the inflated mastery scale like the FT40 or any of that. But Hasbro has applied for a non-transforming Metroplex trademark, meaning that there is some sort of Metroplex in the works. Now, some people speculate that they're going to actually do two. They're going to do one for the Red line and one for Titan class. I don't see Hasbro doing that. I see Hasbro doing one. And I'm kind of concerned about this. First off, the first Metroplex they made, the one back in the day on the 30th anniversary, was stylized to match the video game at the time. And I think it's okay. I'm happy they made it. I'm happy I have one. But I really wanted a true blue G1 version of this figure. Now, a lot of people think in the Red line. If it's in the Red line is underscaled by an inch. This would be underscaled by about 4 to 6 inches. And very disappointing. Won't be pushing the limits of the largest Transformer ever made like the last Metroplex that they had. So there's a lot of issues with it, with that if it's in the Red line. If it's a true Titan, Titans have become smaller over time also. So at the end of the day, if we do get a new Metroplex, it'll be smaller than the one that already came out and won't have electronics in it, and that first one's still going to be very appealing. So speaking of the Red line, there are a lot more pictures. I kind of have a mental picture of what these are going to look like before I get them, and I have a lot to say about them. First thing I want to say about the Red line is it does look like an action figure of a Transformer with very minimal paint and very minimal anything with it other than a couple of different hands and accessories and stuff we're going to look into in a second here. There is some posability to them. I don't think it's anything more than what we already get with a transforming Transformer. So, to me, the posability isn't enhanced. It might even be diminished. So, another disappointment. I'm one of the advocates for this line. I think it's a great line. It looks clean from the back because they don't have to transform. They can look absolutely 100% perfect because they don't have to transform. My biggest hang up about this whole line is how small they are, and I will look at this picture right here and say it looks better than anything Hasbro's made that transforms. Closer to the tune, closer to what I would want, but then they back off the paint versus what already has complex transformation versus no transformation. They back off of the size and the scale, and they can't mix in and mingle with what you've already been collecting for the last 20 years. Here's Megatron from his back. He looks clean too, which is a Masterpiece problem. Masterpiece MP36 has an issue with a really, really bad back. Here's some accessories that go with it. Now, I guess they try to make up for it with including a matrix and a gun and an axe and extra 2 pairs of hands. I think it's okay that they include it, but it's not okay that it's too small and it doesn't have the paint. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about this in just a second. In the comments, people said, here's the thing about Red. Speak with your wallet, and if you don't like the size, you don't like the lack of paint, and you don't like the way it's going, don't buy it. Speak with your wallet. I kind of agree with that. Now, I'm going to look like a hypocrite because I'm going to buy them. I'm going to review them on my channel and show you guys what they look like. A little more in depth of comparison and all of that stuff. And I'll keep them and have them on my shelf or whatever. But I don't think they're big enough. And I really don't like the route they went with making them so small. Making them where they do not work with your existing collection. And for that, if I wasn't going to review them, I would never buy them. Speaking of more Chug stuff that's showing up, and it's just repaints and reiterations of what we already have. We've got in here this new Generation Selects version of the Dinobots, and they're supposed to look more toy accurate. And so with that, it depends on what you want. But in my opinion, I've already got a set. There's nothing on this earth that's going to make me buy another set of the exact same mold that already does the exact same thing. But they do look pretty good. Side by side, I can see where they're going with a more toy accurate deco and all that. And it works. I do like the little bit more of the gold bling bling, and that kind of works for me. And here it is with just more of the blue paint on the swoop and more of the red head and all of that going on here. So there are some differences. They're not exactly the same. They're not different enough to drop like, what, a couple $100 on them? And then here it is in... I'm a big fan of swoop, so if they were going to get me, they would have got me with swoop, and I don't feel like it's enough that I'd even drop some money on it, so... I gotta say, this Grimlock all around is a fail because it has to be the main transforming hub into this combiner, and so it fails at being Grimlock in both modes, and they're not gonna fix it with some paint. Sliding into the Ark, the next Titan class figure. Actually, they issued this Ark schematic or diagram or blueprint on Hasbro Pulse, which is interesting because it's almost an admission. They're admitting they're going to be doing something with the Ark, and there's a lot of speculation, but a lot of speculation that the Ark itself transforms, which I don't think we need. I think we need it to interact better than transform. If it transforms, it will have less interaction and less stuff going on with it, less features for the actual figures that would work with it. So I don't like the idea of it transforming. But then again, some people might. And Teletran 1, maybe it's going to transform. There's all this speculation. But I really feel like this is something coming to the Titan class. I think it's kind of cool, and it can integrate into both a Chug and a Masterpiece display if you wanted that. Before we get into some sort of new stuff, I do want to talk about an upgrade kit to something that's by this point really old, and that's the Siege Jetfire or Skyfire, which I love that figure. I think it's outstanding. But we have Fun Beast Studios here coming with the booster add-ons for the Siege Jetfire, which the Siege Jetfire is getting a reissue. Really makes sense to put this out because more people have their hands on it. And there's a couple things about this. First of all, it's a true G1-esque booster system to add to it. Now, they did have a booster system already, so you're getting like a double booster system, which in a way is kind of like silly, but it's okay to me, I guess. But it does take the blast effects with it, and you do have those extra armor pieces for the legs, so that works. No pictures of what the armor looks like on the bot mode, because it looks like all full of the blast effects, and using the blast effects, of course, as just the engine, and so that looks pretty good there. And here are the components that it comes with. I think it looks good, and I'm sure this will still look great in the actual bot mode because it all would work. I don't see why it wouldn't. And I don't know why they didn't take pictures of that, but there it is. So last week we reported that there's going to be a Generation Selects 10th anniversary of the Prime series, and this is what we're going to get in it, and it's got the Viacon and so the figure in here. So it looks pretty good. This is what they look like. We can actually see a figure of them out of the packaging, which is really cool that, you know, we get to see all this. I don't know exactly how these photos came about to coming into realization, but there they are. If you're in on the Prime series, if it's something that you're super into, this is exciting. I'd jump on it if I was you and get these, because I don't really think that they're going to make a whole lot of them. I think this is a test. This is kind of a test to see where are we with the Prime collecting. And they did this a lot in the past. They kind of tested the G1 market back in 07, and that was sort of a filler wave with the classics. But here we are. How deep will they go? Nobody knows. How well this sells? I'm sure it'll sell out, but how will they use that data? So we saw this fuzzy picture of hot rod and thought, huh, are we getting a hot rod? Let's see, what will it look like? It'll look like this. Not really. This thing is not fully transformed. I think that they go out of their way, Hasbro goes out of their way to have some sort of leak on purpose. I don't think that this stuff's leaking and it's like, oh no, I'm going to lose my job if I send this picture. Let me quickly snap it untransformed and improper and all that. So there's got to be a way to create buzz this day and age, and we'll talk about that here in a second too, what Hasbro's doing to create buzz. But, you know, there's no way to really create buzz right now with nothing going on and no events and all that. And these little leaks, I think they're orchestrated. But orchestrated or not, mistransformed or not, this cup looks really good. I actually was looking at this cup and I was thinking, wow, that's almost like a third-party cup in a way. It's almost that good. I mean, it's not a Fans Toys Coot. It's not really going to be on par with even the X-Transbots, but it still looks so good for a mainline. Like, I've got a few of this cup. I got a few versions of Hasbro, and I have to say that this one still beats out everything that's been made. Now, you cannot 100% say that about everything Hasbro's made in Siege and in the Earthrise, but you definitely can say that about this cup. And we got some more blurry images. We've already seen this version of the Cheetor, the version 1 of Cheetor, but what really attracts the attention here is this, is it a kind of a Dinobot? They call it the fossilized or whatever, but I think it's just their take on Dinobot, and Dinobot was an integral character. This looks almost like the Transmetals 2 version or the third version of Dinobot. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I just don't know what's going on with it. And then here's a better picture of it, and I'm hearing that this is almost like, I don't know. I don't know if this is really supposed to be Dinobot. I don't know what this really is. I've heard a lot of different things, what this is supposed to be, but there it is. It's fossilized, and so that's true, but I still don't see where it fits. So we've gotten even better pictures of Soundwave for the War for Cybertron trilogy, and I guess it's going to be at the Walmart exclusive. Hopefully it's available in more places also, but it looks good. I think his chest is really wide. I think it looks pretty G1. The Siege one, I just picked it up, and I kind of like the shape of Siege better, but I do like the cassette mode, or the cassette player mode, the micro cassette player mode, that it turns into, better than what Siege turns into, and so it wins in that department for me. It also comes with this Ravage, which looks more like the G1-esque kind of Ravage than what they put out with the Siege already, and the laser beak that looks more G1-esque, especially with the beak and the head and all that stuff. But it's still super duper small, and yeah, it's alright. So we've got some events coming up. This is the Pulse Con 2020, and it's going to be going on Wednesday, September 23rd through Thursday, the 24th. So that's going to be coming up this week, and the thing about this is Hasbro's way to put out information about new products that are coming for both Star Wars, Transformers, and of course everything else that they make. Probably a lot of Marvel Legends stuff going on there too. But the thing about it is, on the 23rd, if you're a Hasbro Pulse Premium member, which actually was free to sign up for right when they started, then you can get in on these things a day early. So that means by the time the 24th rolls around, it's probably all sold out on whatever these exclusives are or whatever they're putting up for pre-order. Hasbro Pulse is the first place to sell out for pre-orders, by the way. The next event I think that is more interesting is the TFCon Online. TFCon Online from October 24th to 25th is going to be talking about third-party product preview, guest panels, and I don't know how they handle guest panels, but we'll see. I'm sure they'll just chill at their home on some sort of a Zoom meeting or something. And then Transformers fan panels and artist commissions. So looking at this, it's going to be different than we've ever seen before. It's still going to occur, but we really can't go to it. But I've never gone to one of these anyway, so it doesn't bother me one way or another. I hope to see a really good third-party presentation, and that third party is bringing some stuff. I know Fans Toys has delivered on a lot of their promises. They're checking a lot of boxes off their list, so by then they will have knocked them 20-something figures down to like 14 left that they promised us, and maybe they're going to throw 6 more on the table, 6 more promises for the future. So getting into some Star Wars news, there are pictures surfacing of the Armorer that is going to be one of the next Black Series figures, and it makes a lot of sense, and it's kind of exciting. This is a character that does a lot. If you haven't watched the series one, the season 1, then I guess it's kind of on you, but she survived season 1, so she'll be in season 2. So it makes quite a bit of sense, and she looks pretty good along with the rest of them. Now there's something coming to the Vintage Collection, and this is still a rumor, but how can it really be a rumor if we have evidence of it? And it's a carbonized graphite figure of the Mandalorian, and they're talking about making carbonized figures for the Vintage Collection. Now here's the problem with it. We're at like 160 figures in the Vintage Collection. How many are they going to make? If they start making variations, I know that kind of, in my opinion, started to destroy or decay the G.I. Joe line back in the day when Hasbro did that. We started getting some foil card G.I. Joes, but carbonized would mean you'd actually have carbonized figure. So you'd have some special paint, so the figure would be different. So it gets into a new territory, and I really don't know. I barely want to even keep going with the Vintage Collection, let alone getting variations. So I don't know how this will destroy the collector market, and then it takes a slot for a figure that we could have had back, one of the 96 figures, if you really want to go with the 105, which it really is in vintage with all the variations, but still the 96 figures back in the day, we need to get that completed. There's rumors of some sort of a build-up pack for a new Mandalorian figure, and I don't know exactly what that would be, but in my opinion it would be a deluxe figure that carries a ton of accessories that you could just do whatever with. They won't all fit on him at once, so obviously build-up pack, meaning that you could put a few things on him here, or you can make him in different armor and all that kind of stuff. That's my thought on this, but who knows what's really going to happen with it. But for $35, you better get a lot. We're hearing some reports of Darth Nihilus starting to show up. Darth Nihilus is probably going to be a sought-after figure, and I don't know much about the figure. Gaming greats. To me, it's going to be a GameStop thing, and I think we just don't have enough really cool off-the-wall Sith. We got a ton of Jedis, though. We're also seeing this Walgreens Black Series clone lieutenant start to show up at different places, and yes, the clones are really hot right now, and Hasbro really needs to jump on it, because give the people what they want, or else they're just going to go buy old ones on the eBay for ridiculous prices. Let them get this for $20. Why not? So if you haven't seen the trailer for The Mandalorian Season 2, you might want to check out. It's kind of exciting. I think The Mandalorian is single-handedly holding the entire Star Wars galaxy together. It's really the only media that is interesting to watch this day and age, and the only thing to really look forward to and create hype. Now, with that, it seems to be single-handedly just the Mandalorian character that is selling toys. And, of course, Baby Yoda. But now with this, I have my own issues with Baby Yoda. Maybe another video about that. But this show seems pretty awesome. Definitely brings you back to the original trilogy with a lot of the stuff that's going on in this trailer. And it's showing you, yes, you're going to be part of that world again. There's a lot of action and fighting in these scenes, and I'm really stoked. I'm looking forward to Season 2. I want to see what's going on in it, and with that, of course, it will probably keep me from completely bailing on Star Wars collecting, because I'm teetering on that because of a lot of stuff that's going on. I really need to make a video about it before I explode, but I like what they're doing with Mandalorian. So let me know what you think about this week's weekly news and review. I know I'm really sad there's not much going on in the Masterpiece realm, but I am kind of excited about a lot of things going on with Chug, some of the things going on with movement in the red line. I don't know if it's good or it's bad. A lot of the things that are going on this day makes you start to wonder. It makes me fear the end of G1, but we'll see. Coming up, like, subscribe to Damon Hanger out.